The scene transitions, offering a fleeting glimpse into the distant history of the outsider gods. Initially, the world was a void, but over time, stars illuminated the empty expanse, and eventually, living beings emerged. The outsider god, the very first deity, discovered its own existence and became the recipient of constant prayers from the living beings. As the outsider god provided assistance, it found purpose in its existence. However, more gods gradually emerged, each aiding the living beings in a competitive manner, leading to progress. Yet, not all was harmonious, as countless lives clashed and perished in futile conflicts, allowing time to march on. Within a specific cavern, the outsider god stumbled upon a man on the brink of death. As the man fervently prayed for the outsider god's aid, the deity inquired if he wished to continue living, prompting tearful agreement from the dying individual. Moved by this, the outsider god employed its powers to mend not only the man's injuries but also to transform him back into an infant. Subsequently, the outsider god journeyed to a nearby village and conveyed to an elderly couple, who had long yearned for a child, that they should visit the cave. Acting upon the outsider god's guidance, the couple ventured to the cavern, discovering the now baby man, and joyfully embraced him as their own, leaving the outsider god content with the outcome. After an interval of time, the outsider god returned to visit the particular young man, who had since matured into a young boy. The outsider god made an attempt to converse with the young boy, yet his efforts were met with the boy's bitterness. The boy expressed his anger by cursing the outsider god, revealing that the transformation into a baby had led to the woman he cherished being taken away from him. This revelation surprised the outsider god, who countered that the young boy had never shared this information before. In response, the young boy clarified that he was meant to prevent the wedding of the woman he loved and escape with her. Although the outsider god apologized, the boy's resentment only intensified, leading the deity to depart in response. As the outsider god departed, he found himself consumed by thoughts of where he might have gone wrong. These contemplations led him to the decision of observing the progress of the other gods. Yet, upon witnessing the considerable success of these deities, his confusion deepened. Despite bestowing blessings on other lives, the outsider god was met with resentment from each recipient, leaving him bewildered by the cause of their animosity. The passage of hundreds of years brought about significant changes in the world. During this period, living beings began to view the gods as tools, while the gods themselves introduced a new system known as the leveling system. This system allowed them to confer various titles upon living beings, such as heroes, demon kings, and saintesses. Furthermore, the gods could choose to impart blessings or curses upon these individuals. During this period, the outsider god encountered a hero teetering on the brink of death. Extending a helping hand, the deity presented an offer. In exchange for his assistance, the hero would relinquish everything he held dear. Without hesitation, the hero embraced the condition, reasoning that sacrificing all he possessed was a preferable alternative to succumbing to death. The outsider god then bestowed his aid, blessing the hero and mending his injuries. Witnessing his restored physical state, the hero's excitement grew, only to be interrupted by the appearance of a status window. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that he had regressed to a level 1 status. Initially taken aback, the hero was reminded by the outsider of the forewarning issued prior to receiving the blessing. Recalling the deity's cautionary words, the hero expressed his gratitude for being saved, convinced that despite his diminished level, he could gradually regain his former strength. Unfortunately, reality was harsher than he imagined. The hero found himself abandoned by his comrades, who were unwilling to associate with someone stuck at level 1 and seemingly incapable of advancement. This situation left the hero consumed by intense anger. Nevertheless, he chose not to harbor resentment towards the outsider god. Instead, he offered a piece of advice, earnestly urging the deity to refrain from bestowing his blessings upon anyone in the future. The hero emphasized that what was meant to be a blessing had, in reality, transformed into a curse, erasing not only his level but all other aspects of his status. Pledging never to utilize the blessing again, even if his life hung in the balance, the hero vowed to avoid its effects. Upon receiving this revelation, the outsider god experienced a mixture of shock and denial. However, eventually, the deity conceded that his presence was no longer indispensable in the world. As time continued to flow, the outsider god encountered another pivotal moment when he crossed paths with a gravely injured boy named Kang Hansu in the untamed wilderness. In the present timeline, the outsider god's countenance reveals a sense of apprehension, perhaps suggesting his concern that Kang Hansu might have unraveled the truth behind the bestowed blessing. Tension courses through him, evident from his tightly clenched teeth, as he anxiously hopes that Kang Hansu remains oblivious to the secret. Simultaneously, Kang Hansu's focus veers away from the outsider god's blessing, directing his attention to honing his oratory skills through a collection of books. As he prepares to depart, a shift in the outsider god's demeanor catches his notice, transforming into an air of desperation that propels the deity into fervent prayer. Intrigued, Kang Hansu inquires whether these prayers are intended for his departed soul. Dismissing such a notion, the outsider god clarifies, leading Kang Hansu to probe further about the nature of the supplication. In response, the outsider god alludes enigmatically to it being a secret, a revelation shared exclusively between them, as they bid farewell to the mercenary guild. The scene shifts, revealing MANHWA in a battered state, bewildered by his position on the ground. His slaves are held captive by his classmate from the slave market. He recollects a recent incident where, after arming his slaves, they ventured into the forest for a hunting expedition. They managed to secure a successful hunt, but their progress was suddenly halted by the arrival of MANHWA's classmate, accompanied by his own slave. MANHWA recognizes this classmate from their previous life as a bully who would roam in groups tormenting others. Nonetheless, MANHWA's mindset shifts, believing that Fantasia operates differently and he, being the main character, won't be subjected to bullying. With this determination, MANHWA challenges his classmate to confront him. In response, his classmate, wearing a menacing expression, agrees to engage. Swiftly, his classmate's slave charges at them. In the blink of an eye, before MANHWA can react, the slave takes down Sarah, Lusa, and Kana with a single swift strike, leaving MANHWA stunned and perplexed. As Sarah, Lusa, and Kana begin to recover, MANHWA queries his classmate about the technique used. His classmate nonchalantly explains that his slave is simply stronger. Then, with a sinister look, MANHWA's classmate gazes at him, pressing him to either confront him or relinquish his slaves. The scene changes to a library where we observe Kang Hansu engrossed in browsing through various books. The outsider god, curious, asks Kang Hansu about his activity. Kang Hansu explains that since he can't level up, his best option is to acquire a powerful weapon like a legendary one. Standing nearby, Cogmos interjects, expressing doubt that such weapons are still available, as they have already been discovered and seized by kingdoms. Kang Hansu counters this by suggesting the possibility of finding a relic so dangerous that excavation efforts have been postponed. Cogmos counters, noting that these excavation sites are safeguarded by knights. This prompts Kang Hansu to question the strength of these so-called knights. Cogmos replies, asserting that he can assure Kang Hansu that these knights are considerably mightier than him, leaving Kang Hansu visibly frustrated. Taking a breather from the situation, Kang Hansu informs Cogmos of his intention to step out for some fresh air. He ventures outside the city and, deep in contemplation, ponders whether it's truly impossible for him to defeat a knight. As he ponders this matter, the outsider god tries to offer encouragement. However, their exchange is abruptly disrupted by the presence of an orc who confronts Kang Hansu, demanding his belongings. Kang Hansu responds, stating that he's not in the best mood, surprising the orc, who questions how a human can understand the orc language. Kang Hansu urges the orc to leave, explaining that he's sparing him. However, the orc takes offense and launches an attack against Kang Hansu. This prompts Kang Hansu to retaliate with a powerful strike, sending the orc crashing to the ground. Kang Hansu pins the orc down, his eyes brimming with anger. He then proceeds to deliver several punches to the orc's face while questioning the absence of relics for him to excavate and expressing frustration over the lack of hope or prospects for becoming stronger in this fantasy world. As the orc endures the beating, he eventually breaks down in tears, confessing to Kang Hansu that he possesses knowledge of the whereabouts of a particular relic. Kang Hansu halts his relentless assault upon hearing this revelation. Through his tears, the orc explains that the relic is a substantial orc relic of significant importance. Shocked by this unexpected revelation, Kang Hansu adopts a more amicable demeanor and gently encourages the orc to share further details about the relic. The scene shifts, and we observe Kang Hansu being guided by the orc to the relic's location. During their journey, Kang Hansu addresses the orc as his friend. In response, the orc requests Kang Hansu to cease using the term friend, explaining that genuine friends do not resort to violence against one another. Acknowledging the orc's sentiment, Kang Hansu agrees to move forward, and they continue their journey. Along the way, the orc discloses to Kang Hansu that despite his own strength, he would be unable to access the relic's location. Kang Hansu inquires why, and the orc offers a simple yet puzzling response: he doesn't know, adding that this restriction has existed since his birth. Their conversation abruptly ceases as the orc announces their arrival, igniting a spark of excitement within Kang Hansu. However, his enthusiasm quickly sours as he gazes upon a vast expanse of land. Suddenly, a village materializes before them out of thin air, leaving Kang Hansu astonished by the appearance of such a sizable settlement seemingly out of nowhere. However, his musings are cut short by the orc, who questions how Kang Hansu can perceive the orc sanctuary, pointing out that only those who are level 9 or lower should be able to do so. Kang Hansu responds, stating that he is merely at level 1, which leaves the orc stunned. He accuses Kang Hansu of lying, finding it hard to believe that a level 1 could wield such strength. Before their discussion can progress further, an arrow is aimed at Kang Hansu, narrowly missing him as he evades the attack. This event is followed by the appearance of a group of orcs, who seem to be excited that their dinner has unexpectedly arrived in their village. Observing this, the orc beside Kang Hansu urges his fellow orcs not to engage, acknowledging that they are no match for him. However, before any action can be taken, Kang Hansu swiftly eliminates the orc companion beside him, his expression turning menacing as he launches a brutal onslaught against the other orcs one by one. As this mass slaughter unfolds before the eyes of the outsider god, who watches over the scene, the deity offers prayers for the souls of the countless orcs meeting their demise. The scene shifts, revealing the approaching night as another group of orcs enters the orc sanctuary. Their astonishment becomes evident as they realize that their kin are nowhere to be seen. Instead, a sense of foreboding permeates the air. The absence of familiar orc presence prompts a realization that the sanctuary has been attacked. Fueled by a desire for revenge, they set out to scour the surroundings, determined to locate the responsible individual behind the assault. As they venture forth, Kang Hansu emerges from his concealed position, realizing that his current predicament shows no signs of swift resolution. He gazes upon the multitude of deceased orcs he has felled and contemplates the staggering toll of his actions, pondering the number of orcs he has taken down. The hunt seems to stretch on indefinitely, prompting Kang Hansu to entertain thoughts of locating an exit. However, his intent is thwarted when the second group of orcs discovers his whereabouts. Kang Hansu initially contemplates escape but ultimately resolves to confront the oncoming orcs, choosing to confront the situation head-on and see it through to its end. After spending a tiring day defeating the orcs, Kang Hansu sat atop their fallen bodies, feeling like the fight was easy. He watched as the slimes he had brought with him dealt with the orc corpses. Curious about any changes, Kang Hansu checked his status window and was surprised to find that not only did his curse skill Slaughter improve to a C rank, but he also acquired a new D rank curse called Massacre. This new curse increased the likelihood of encountering the souls of those he had killed in his dreams, which initially unsettled him. However, he quickly brushed it aside upon realizing that it wouldn't matter much, as he rarely sleeps anyway. He then acknowledged that his curse had become stronger and he had gained a new curse. He questioned the outsider god if he was responsible, but the outsider god explained that it wasn't due to his actions. Kang Hansu reassured the outsider god that he wasn't blaming him in the first place. Suddenly, Kang Hansu's exchange was abruptly disrupted by a particular group of humans who were prisoners of the orcs. Realizing his inability to comprehend the captive's language, Kang Hansu descends from the orc bodies. Faced with an incomprehensible conversation, he gently moves the humans aside and confronts one of the orcs who is feigning death. Kang Hansu gestures, seeking guidance on how to leave the city and expressing his frustration about continually ending up in the same spot despite wandering around. In response, the orc explains that the city's entrance and exit are distinct. The sole exit is situated at the city's center. Armed with this information, Kang Hansu wastes no time and heads straight for the center of the city, leading the rescued humans in tow. Upon reaching the city center, Kang Hansu is met with a puzzling sight. There appears to be no obvious exit. He contemplates whether he might require some form of magic to unlock the exit. However, before he can further consider this, his thoughts are abruptly interrupted by the sudden appearance of a radiant green light descending from the sky. From within this light emerges a colossal orc figure, who queries Kang Hansu about his role in the destruction of the orc base. Kang Hansu's astonishment grows as he realizes that this enigmatic orc is considerably more powerful than himself. He responds to the inquiry, explaining that he had asked the orcs to move but they had refused. The mysterious orc counters by questioning whether this seemingly trivial reason justified his massacre of 300,000 orcs in a single day. Kang Hansu is taken aback by the staggering number of orcs he apparently slew. At this point, the mysterious orc interjects, revealing his identity as the guardian of the orc city. He vehemently asserts that he will not permit any human possessing knowledge of the city's secret to escape. Upon recognizing the enigmatic orc as a guardian, Kang Hansu's excitement surges as he readies himself for combat. The realization that a guardian is present implies the safeguarding of valuable treasures. Fueled by this notion, Kang Hansu launches an assault against the orc guardian, aiming to conclude the battle swiftly and decisively. However, the guardian nimbly thwarts his attack by deflecting it with his trident, then swiftly severing Kang Hansu's hand, leaving him in a state of profound shock. In response, the Orc Guardian executes a final strike to finish off Kang Hansu. Remarkably, Kang Hansu adeptly evades this attack, leaving the Orc Guardian astonished. Despite losing his right eye and arm in the ordeal, Kang Hansu employs his outsider blessing to restore them to their original state, leaving the Orc Guardian bewildered. Perplexed, the Orc Guardian inquires whether Kang Hansu is immortal, to which Kang Hansu nonchalantly confirms, stating he is more or less immortal. The Orc Guardian responds by asserting that it matters little. He is determined to confine Kang Hansu within the city until old age claims his life, even if it takes a millennium. This declaration prompts Kang Hansu to wear an expression of apparent excitement. The scene shifts, and we find hero Yubora and her companion Arya alone in a room. Their conversation centers around hero Oh Han-woo, with Arya expressing concerns about his well-being as he ventures on his own. Their dialogue is abruptly interrupted by a knock on the door, followed by the entrance of the Saintess, catching them off guard. Upon the Saintess' arrival, Yubora questions the purpose of her visit, to which the Saintess responds that she simply dropped by for a friendly visit. She then requests Arya to fetch them some tea. As Arya serves the tea, the Saintess and Yubora engage in a discussion about fallen heroes, including Oh Han-woo and others. Yubora raises a query about their fate, prompting the Saintess to clarify that heroes still hold value and are thus spared from being killed. Upon hearing this, Yubora recalls the scene where Kang Hansu implored the goddess to send him back to Earth. This memory leads her to ponder whether Kang Hansu managed to return home safely and whether he made the correct choice. Abruptly, her contemplations are disrupted by the Saintess, who poses an unexpected question about Kang Hansu. This startles Yubora, causing her to accidentally spill her tea in surprise. Observing her reaction, the Saintess queries whether Kang Hansu is her boyfriend, eliciting a nervous response from Yubora, who quickly clarifies that he is merely a classmate. Noticing Yubora's astonishment, the Saintess' face lights up with enthusiasm as she eagerly implores Yubora to share all the details about Kang Hansu, leaving Yubora taken aback by the sudden request. Later that night, we find the Saintess alone in her room, deep in thought as she reflects on her conversation with Yubora regarding Kang Hansu. She contemplates the actions of Kang Hansu, who refused to become a hero and was subsequently sent back by the goddess. The Saintess wonders about the potential consequences if it became known that Kang Hansu did not return to Earth, fearing it could undermine the heroes standing against the gods. In response, she decides that if he has indeed perished, she will conceal all traces of his existence. However, should he still be alive, she is left pondering her next course of action. In a pivotal moment, the goddess materializes before the Saintess, casting a menacing gaze that fills the room with an aura of dread. This unexpected encounter leaves the Saintess shaken and fearful. Reflecting on the nature of hero blessings, she recalls that the gods who bestowed blessings on the heroes possess knowledge of their whereabouts. However, the goddess's reaction to Kang Hansu's mention reveals her lack of awareness regarding his location. This revelation leads the Saintess to speculate whether another god might be safeguarding and blessing Kang Hansu. Determined to uncover the truth, the Saintess resolves to locate Kang Hansu and eliminate any traces of his existence. She decides to initiate a covert search network, concealing her intentions from others. As this plan takes shape, the outsider god, seemingly observing from the shadows, witnesses the Saintess devising her strategy before departing the room. The setting shifts back to the Orc Sanctuary, where we witness the Orc questioning Kang Hansu about his inexhaustible stamina and the seemingly futile nature of his ongoing struggle. Kang Hansu, in response, adopts a fierce expression and asserts his determination to persist in his efforts until his last breath. He charges at the Orc once more, only to be repelled again. Later that night, Kang Hansu finds himself by a campfire, deep in contemplation about his repeated clashes with the Orc Guardian. As he reflects on how to overcome this formidable opponent, his thoughts are abruptly interrupted by Bruce, one of the humans he had rescued, who approaches to greet him. Bruce utters something that Kang Hansu does not comprehend before introducing a young lady to Kang Hansu. This unexpected interaction leaves Kang Hansu greatly annoyed, prompting him to deliver a swift punch to Bruce's head, causing Bruce to hastily retreat. Kang Hansu shifts his gaze, still noticing the presence of the young lady beside him. Curiosity piqued, he inquires about her intentions, but her response remains unintelligible to him. In reaction, Kang Hansu gestures as if to convey that she's free to do as she pleases before resuming his seat, engrossed in contemplation over how to conquer the Orc Guardian. As he ruminates, the young lady remains seated by his side throughout the night. The following day, Kang Hansu readies himself once more to confront the Orc Guardian, armed with a fresh strategy. Upon glancing around, he spots the same young lady sound asleep nearby, prompting him to wonder about her presence. At that moment, the outsider god materializes, remarking that Kang Hansu should not concern himself with her. This response elicits a sense of annoyance from Kang Hansu. Recognizing that his primary goal remains defeating the Orc Guardian and escaping the Orc Sanctuary, Kang Hansu deliberately captures the outsider god's attention. He proceeds to demonstrate a swordsmanship technique using his sword, mimicking the precise moves employed by the Orc Guardian. Witnessing this, the outsider god registers astonishment while Kang Hansu proudly notes that he practiced the technique tirelessly throughout the night, emphasizing its remarkable resemblance to the Orc Guardian's moves. Kang Hansu's elation at successfully replicating the Orc Guardian's technique prompts a teasing comment from the outsider god, who playfully labels him a pervert. Their light-hearted exchange, however, is abruptly halted when Kang Hansu receives a notification indicating his outsider blessing has ascended to rank E. He responds with ecstatic gratitude towards the outsider god. Meanwhile, his hero curse undergoes an upgrade to rank C, leading him to unleash a string of curses directed at the goddess. This development prompts Kang Hansu to realize that the goddess may have become aware of his continued existence. Recognizing that his time for respite has dwindled, he comprehends the urgency of intensifying his strength. With newfound determination, he steels himself to confront the Orc Guardian once more, vowing not to retreat this time. The Orc Guardian responds skeptically, questioning how he could trust the word of a human. Nevertheless, he dismisses his doubt and invites Kang Hansu to ascend the ruins. As Kang Hansu ascends, he makes an intriguing observation: the Orc Guardian is unable to leave the ruins. Reaching the summit of the ruins, Kang Hansu is taken aback by the lack of any visible surroundings. The Orc Guardian elucidates that the ruins were, in fact, a training ground designed for nurturing heroes. In response, Kang Hansu inquires whether orcs can also become heroes. The Orc Guardian clarifies that this is not the case, as the gods have never chosen an orc as a hero. Instead, humans, who frequently assume hero roles, tend to grow overconfident and lower their guard. Exploiting this vulnerability, the orcs manage to seize control of the training ground previously used by heroes, leaving behind a site infused with blessings. Curious about the purpose of the ruins, Kang Hansu questions the Orc Guardian, who explains that they serve to regulate the entry of powerful beings. However, the Orc Guardian emphasizes that their plan to rebuild their city atop the ruins hinges on Kang Hansu's survival, as he has managed to surpass this restriction. In a tense moment, the Orc Guardian aims his trident at Kang Hansu, declaring his intent to end his life there. Kang Hansu, undeterred, responds with an enigmatic expression, a hint of menace, and a subtle chuckle.